Steve Moore, and Steve, the former economic advisor for President Trump when he was running for president, still an informal advisor to the president's got a new book out, Trumponomics. You want to read that? I just did have a chance to read that a couple weeks ago. And currently, Steve is a senior fellow with the Heritage Foundation, an economic consultant with Freedom Works, and co-author with Arthur Laffer of Trumponomics, as I just said, and it's called Inside the America First Plan to Revive the Economy. Stephen Moore, great to have you back, man.
Hi, John. By the way, did I hear you saying earlier that now it looks like Dave Bossie is the front runner for the chief of staff position?
Yes, our take from
wow,
talking to everybody
awesome.
right now.
I mean, Dave Bossie is a good friend. He's a great. I think he would serve in an incredibly great capacity for Trump. He's exactly what he needs. He's a true believer in what Trump is trying to do. You know, you and I have talked about this. There are too many never Trumpers over in the White House. Yep. Dave Bossie is a true believer, and I think I think it'd be an outstanding choice.
I agree with you. And, you know, he came from nowhere, basically, bubbled up from way back. And I think the president is having lunch with him tomorrow, a private lunch in the White House tomorrow to talk about it. But I've got him as a front runner now because no one else that's on the list is having lunch with the president. And we have certainly, you know, made his name available out there and told, I think, too, you know, Steve, you really nailed it. Not only is he the best choice, but for the Trump base that have been basically kicked in the teeth by the Republican professional establishment community, yep. Right? And you know that for a fact.
I remember when there was that piece in the New York Times, that anonymous piece by a Trump administration, person just trashing Trump, and Trump was asking, well, gee, who could that be? And I'm like, well, Mr. President, that could be running what about 200 people, and there's so many people that have been brought in that are not with the program, and that's been a problem. And I think, you surround yourself, you don't want to surround yourself with yes men, but you want somebody who is going to be, who's with the program, and there's just too many who are not. Now, another name that has been floated, who is another good friend of mine, is Mick Mulvaney, who's now the OMB director, and he would be a good choice too, but either one of those two I'd be ecstatic about. And look, if Trump could just do his economic program and not have people in his own administration stand in his way, we're going to see huge continued strides forward on the economy. You were exactly right when you said earlier that the Chinese are making concessions. I mean, nobody's covering that. But they're making big concessions now because Trump's policies are working. And they are terrified. The Chinese are terrified of these tariffs.
Well, without the tariffs, Steve Moore, they'd have never come to the table. I mean, that's the bottom line. Now, whether or not
that's true,
we're going to see anything. But what I love about the president did, and I didn't really buy into the happy talk that Larry Kudlow was talking about, problem solved, nothing to see here, get rid of the tariffs. Because at the end of the day, Larry is still a free trader guy. I mean, you can't just change that. He doesn't believe in what some of us believe in. But here's what the president did. He said, you've got 60 days of reckoning, 60 days, and in the 60-day period, I'm not taking the existing tariffs off. The only thing I'm not going to do is put the tariffs on the other $297 million of stuff, and also I'm not going to increase the ones I have for 60 days. But he never took them off. I thought that was just the best thing he did because, the Chinese, Steve, have been doing this forever. They stall, they say they're going to do something, and then they don't do crap.
Of course.
Right? So we'll just have to see.
Yeah, of course. You're exactly right. I mean, look, China is the bad actor on the international scene. We are in a Cold War with China. They are an adversary. They are an enemy. They are cheaters. They are liars. They are thieves. We can't continue to allow this trade relationship to go on. Now, look, I'm a free trader like Larry Kudlow is, but this isn't free trade. This country, China, has been involved in so many abusive trade practices that it's ridiculous to even call it free trade. The only way that you can I can't think of any alternative way to get their attention and to get them to change their behavior than to whack them with these tariffs. And look, I want to get this resolved. I want them to buy more of our stuff. I want them to stop cheating and stealing. But you've got to have metrics. You've got to have enforcement. You got to have, as Reagan used to say, trust but verify, and you got to get a big change in their behavior. And they don't want to do it. They deny that they're cheating. They deny that they're stealing. So, this could last a while, but, the cost of going forward with the current relationship is just way too high.
It is way too high, exactly. So, look, they have to come to the table. We're going to see what happens in 60 days. I'm a skeptic. I don't think they'll do anything. But if they don't, I don't think the president is going to hesitate to put
I don't either.
He's not going to hesitate.
I saw the president, let's see, I saw him 2 days ago in the Oval Office, and we chatted, and, he was basically saying that, he's going to whack them with these higher tariffs if he doesn't see them coming forward with real and substantial concessions. He will hit them with these higher tariffs. And by the way, the media isn't covering. These tariffs are killing China already. I mean, they've got full docks, warehouses, factories full of merchandise they can't sell. Their growth rate has been cut, practically to zero. Their stock market's down by 20%. I mean, this has really hurt China. They can't withstand 25% tariffs.
Absolutely not. That's why President Xi has come to the table. But look, they have, it's what I call the 60-day of China reckoning. We're going to see what happens. Steve Moore with us. Steve was the official advisor to President Trump during the campaign, his number one economic advisor. He's still an informal advisor, as you just heard. Visit him 2 days ago in the Oval Office. Now he's a senior fellow at the Heritage Foundation and author of the new book with Arthur Laffer, Trumponomics, Inside the America First Plan to Revive Our Economy. You can buy that, make a great Christmas gift. You can buy it from Amazon or B. Dalton. Anything you want. Steve, let's talk about the shutdown. I'm not in favor of a shutdown. We get blamed. They don't work. But you've got $1 trillion budget, and we're arguing over $3.4 billion. That's like such a stupid amount of money based on $1 trillion federal budget. What is the deal with this?
Well, first of all, it's very simple. The Democrats do not believe in border control. They don't believe in border security. That what they do believe in is, catch and release, and sanctuary cities, sanctuary states, and get rid of the border control. I mean, so they don't have they don't have an anti-illegal immigration enforcement strategy. They don't want one. It's not like they don't feel like we can afford the wall. It's they don't want it. They don't want the wall. They don't want the ICE. They don't want people deported who come into the country illegally. And so this is just a complete conflict of visions. And of course, their position is supported by, what would you say, maybe 20% of the voters, and Trump's position is supported by about 80% of the voters. So they are on the wrong side of this issue. They want it to go away. Did you say you are not, or you are in favor of the shutdown?
Absolutely not, because no matter how you spin it, we lose.
Well, look, my feeling is I am not in favor of a shutdown now. It's problematic because the Republicans still control the House and Senate.
Right.
Shame on Paul Ryan and Mitch McConnell for not getting the wall funding in this bill.
Right.
But I am in favor next year, if they don't make progress on this wall and provide full funding under Pelosi, then I think Trump should just make it very clear. When he signs this bill, he should say, I'm not signing the next one if you don't have full funding of the wall, period, end of argument, hard stop. And this is a fight that Democrats don't want to have, because they know, the smart Democrats know they're on the wrong side of this issue. Look, I was with Trump, in a lot of these rallies in 2016, and his number one argument was build the wall. If he has a mandate to do anything, it's to build the wall.
Steve Moore, I have to say that is great analysis and great advice to the president, because, in the televised debate there, the discussion, I thought the best point that Nancy Pelosi had is when she said, well, then go pass it in the House. You've got the caucus. You've got the majority. Pass it. You can't pass it because your own Republicans aren't going to pass it. So How am I responsible for this? Look, that was a pretty good argument.
And shame on the Republicans, right?
Right.
That's why it would make sense not to veto this bill, but the next one. Now, there's two issues here, by the way, John. There's the building of the wall, which is something that has to get done. I'm very pro-immigrant, but it has to be legal immigration, not illegal. But the other issue is these obscenely irresponsible spending bills. I mean, last year, federal spending was up $300 billion, and we're running $800 billion deficits. Trump has got to start vetoing spending bills. He has to. He has to come across as the adult in the room when it comes to these massive spending bills on outrageous things. I mean, we're spending money on billions of dollars on Medicaid and food stamps for illegal immigrants. I mean, it's ridiculous.
It's crazy. Let me just ask you this, Steve. You and I have been doing this a long time. Why do you think the Democrats want open borders, get rid of ICE, no wall, let everybody in, open asylum? Why?
Guys, I don't know. I mean, look, I think there are a lot of people who really, truly do care about, these migrants. And, it breaks your heart to see the conditions of some of these countries. I mean, and they truly have big hearts, and they want people to be able to come into this great country of ours. But look, we're a nation. We have rules. We have laws. We have a system by which people come in and people can be denied. And that's, as Trump said, a nation without a border isn't a nation. But there are a lot of Democrats who believe we're just going to import more and more Democratic voters. Right. And we're going to overwhelm the Republicans because, all of these new immigrants are going to vote Democratic, and then, there will be no more Donald Trump. There will be no more, Ted Cruz, no more, because they will overwhelm us with new voters who vote Democratic. And that's how cynical the modern Democratic Party has become.
Mm-hmm. Because
do you disagree with that?
No. I have said for a long time that the reason why we continue to have open borders, Steve, is what I call the unholy alliance of all time. Democrats that want cheap votes in Wall Street, Lower Manhattan, Goldman Sachs, donors that donate to the Republican Party that wants cheap slave labor to come in so they can drive down wages and increase shareholder value. And that's the toxic combination which has enabled our borders to stay open, because that's really, to me, the unholy alliance of all time. Steve Moore, I'm out of time. Read Steve's book, Trumponomics, Inside the America First Plan to Revive Our Economy. Steve, thanks for being with us.
Thanks, John. Have a great day. Merry Christmas.